Our next speaker is Marisela Montes. She's a Chief Deputy Secretary with the Adult Programs for the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation.
It's working. This is on. Good morning. It's really an honor to be here. First of all, I want to echo the words of my former speakers here. I am inspired by the diversity, the energy, the passion of your leadership right here in San Francisco City and County. You are really very, very fortunate. I'm sure you know this is a very unique situation that you have in San Francisco. But I'm also inspired by the people that are represented here today. Heather, your story, Jason Bell's vision, Jamar's experience, and so many others who are here today. It's why we do the work that we do. I mean, we don't just believe that people are capable of change. We know, because we have seen firsthand, that people, given the right tools, will take advantage of that opportunity. And it is a long uphill battle. It doesn't happen overnight. We recognize that. But so many times our criminal justice system doesn't have the patience. And we have to learn patience. We have to recognize that relapse is part of the process. And we have to set up systems that take people not all the way back to prison when they make a mistake, but maybe bring them back through a process slowly. But anyway, that's probably a different workshop. So let me get back to the original question. I apologize for that aside. In terms of our involvement in reentry, I think that was the original question. You know, the tide is turning at corrections and rehabilitation. You know, we changed our mission a couple years ago from the California Department of Corrections to the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. And that change is a major change, not only in how we do business, what our mission is, what our focus is, but you know, this is going to be a long uphill battle. This is a major shift in our culture. We've got to invest resources in programming offenders, as opposed to putting all of our dollars in the supervision of offenders. Obviously, public safety is our first concern. But when you look at our budget, about 5% of our budget actually goes into the programming and treatment of offenders. And that is abysmal. That has to change. What we also see in our institutions, we have 172,000 offenders crammed in space that was designed for less than 100,000. And so no wonder that people who arrive at our institutions, sentenced from our local communities, many times unprepared for their release, leave oftentimes in worse shape than when they first got there. And it's no wonder. We have lots of many more incidents in our prisons today than we've ever had in the past. And it's in large part because of the overcrowded circumstances in which offenders are living today. And as the Chief Deputy Secretary for Adult Programs, I want to implement more programs in prison. But as I walk the prison grounds, I see very little space. So much of our program space has now been converted to housing. And we're not only double bunking, you know, putting bunk beds for offenders in that program space, but we're triple bunking them today, which creates a very unsafe environment for our offenders, for our staff, and real challenges for us to program. But I haven't given up. There are places where we can add modular trailers, and we're in the process of doing that, where we can create space for offenders to actually go to school, work on their GED, get some drug treatment, get some job readiness skills prior to their release. So we'll do what we can in prison. But what I'm most excited about, actually, is a bill that was recently passed by the legislature and signed by the governor, Assembly Bill 900, which is the Public Safety and Offender Rehabilitation Services Act. In that bill, some will argue it doesn't go far enough. Some people say it creates too many beds. Well, for whatever criticisms we might have of the bill, we have to take advantage of the opportunity that it presents. And it includes the authorization for up to 16,000 reentry beds throughout California. To me, that's the promise of reform of prison reform. Because what we plan to do, what we hope to do, but we can only do it with communities who invite us to partner with them. We're not going to go into communities and site those reentry facilities. We're going to work in a collaborative way, we have to, with communities to site reentry facilities where offenders who are within 6 to 12 months of release would be identified in prison and be given an opportunity to go to that reentry facility that would be closer to home, closer to family, closer to support, closer to those resources that are going to help them make that transition from prison to release. And at this facility, we will do risk and needs assessments to identify what are the specific needs that this offender faces, what are his or her biggest challenges, and we'll focus on those. Working on that, getting that GED, getting some voc training, identifying what the job opportunities are in the community, and working with offenders to get ready for those kinds of jobs where offenders will hire formerly incarcerated persons, where they can make a living wage and support themselves and their families. That will be the focus, job readiness, and drug treatment. You all know the statistics. There are well over 70% of our offenders who have issues of addiction. So we need to address that problem straight up. So drug treatment will be a part of every one of these reentry facilities. And then finally, housing. About 10% of our population, when they leave prison, really don't even know where it is that they're going to live. Don't have either permanent or temporary housing available to them. And so we need to deal with that as well. So I think, as I said earlier, the real hope, the real promise in AB 900 is in these 16,000 reentry beds that we have authorized. I think we have to take advantage of that opportunity that the legislature has presented to us. I have been going throughout the state. We've held 8 workshops. We plan 10. As a matter of fact, we'll be in San Mateo next Friday to talk with your local officials about reentry and the potential for this part of this region in the state to implement some of these reentry centers. As a matter of fact, we've been meeting with your sheriff and your district attorney and working in partnership with the potential, with the goal of siting a reentry center here in San Francisco. We may start small, but we have big visions, big dreams, and I'm very optimistic about the future because reentry is something that really, really needs to start when offenders first arrive in our facilities. We need to do risk and needs assessments. We need to do good case management and provide the programs that they need for success. We need to do that assessment again before they're released and then provide those services and programs in the community. Well, that full spectrum is not in place yet. And we're starting actually on the back end with reentry, but best to start somewhere. So I'm excited, I'm optimistic about the future. Thank you.